And we are, again, doing this in partnership with Parks and Rec and Golf. And we had funding from SCFD, the Scientific and Cultural Foundation, and QCF in order to support the concerts. Again, those were at 4 different locations, so making sure that we have 2 in the south and 2 in the north. And we'll continue to, that's kind of always been the pattern, and we'll continue to make sure that happens. And then we were able to advocate strongly to have all the concerts have similar, what do I want to say, incentive. So this year we were able to offer free food from food trucks at all of the concerts. We also offer a raffle to participants. We've been able to provide resource booths. There's been lots of dancing, crafts, etc. And I think it just kind of turned into a pretty fun and active event. Parks, Rec, and Golf has been really great at helping with bouncy castles and face painting. So it's pretty cool just to be able to come out. And this year, the weather cooperated. That's always a challenge for us, but we were really able to get a lot of good fun happening. So but prior to this year, we've had, because of COVID, we had a lot of rollover funds. We had some grant money that we weren't able to use as things shut down, as you all can, I'm sure, remember. So we were able to use rollover the last few years in order to support the cost of music in the park. And you can see here that over the last, 4 or 5 years, the cost has significantly increased over time. Most of the cost is really around the staging and sound. Early on, it was a little cheaper before COVID. And then as we started to open things back up, folks were a little bit more willing to negotiate. We were trying to just get our feet back in, right, and make things happen. Bands were more open to say, yeah, sure, we'll take a little less money because we're just trying to get back into it. But as you can see here, in 2018, it was $14,500 to do the 4 concerts at Music in the Park. In 2025, we were at $24,435. And again, that's the bands, the sound, the staging, and the incentives that we offer related to our raffle, making sure that we feed the band because we want to make them happy. So things are just, as you all know, sadly, just getting more expensive. So we have been able to do that. Our rollover funds, though, and good news, we've been using that money to make things happen and to do them well. But that rollover money is gone. So we are looking at a higher budget than we've had in the past. The good news is, again, we're hoping to, we actually have some really fun folks who are excited about Music in the Park. So we want to continue to increase music at the park at our retreat. Just this weekend, Rana was like, there should be no reason why we don't have just thousands and thousands of people showing up at these concerts. And I was like, yes, and yes, that's a lot. We do want that. But we also are going to work with Jenny and other folks in the city to ensure that we can think about some fundraising efforts, ways that we might be able to utilize local folks in the community to help sponsor Music in the Park. Also continuing to look at other funding sources. We do have a grant application out for SCFD for Music in the Park and QCF. So continuing to work to make sure we have those funds because we want this to be a long-term sustained experience for Commerce City. And I think it's doing a lot of great for the city itself. That being said, we are currently being sponsored by the city with $5,000. And our hope is to look to you all to see if we might be able to find a way to increase that contribution to $12,000, again, in hopes to support Music in the Park directly. And again, focusing primarily on that increase in cost for the sound and staging. So wanting to see how we can continue to collaborate to make this an event that folks want to come to, that we can continue to sustain, and also continue to collaborate with Parks and Rec on. So again, this sponsorship would tie directly to the city's strategic plan. You can see the objective there. I don't have that in front of me, but I'm sure you all memorized it by now. And I'm just using. So we will, this is going to be an issue that we'd like for you, not an issue. Yeah, it's an issue that we'd like for you all to consider, and happy to take questions at the end in regards to what that would look like. This is an amount that other boards and commissions do get. we know we are unique in that we are a 501c3. That being said, we are also still volunteers. We are also still doing really hard work to make sure things happen. And this is not our only event. We want to be able to support the arts and culture in other ways, not just music in the park. And so, although we want to continue to make this happen, we also don't want to have to neglect the other things that I'll talk about here in a minute. All right, so the other thing we really wanted to focus on in our second goal was to continue to think about community engagement, again, beyond music in the park, and ways that we could partner with other boards and commissions, with other local community groups, businesses, and nonprofits. So we were able to work with the DEI Commission to participate in the Juneteenth event. We actually, for this next year, are going to continue to partner with them and being able to sponsor some other things at Juneteenth. So we had the spades tournament. We were able to volunteer, really seeing ourselves as in a group that can come in and kind of add an element, a different element of arts and culture, uplifting the event. I'm not trying in any way to take it over, but just trying to kind of participate in a unique way. That also happened this year at the Hispanic Heritage celebration. So we had specific grant funding in order to support the entertainment at Hispanic Heritage. We provided a craft. We were able to kind of be in an area to support that. We also sponsored the piñata, which I think is just really fun. So wanting to, again, just enhance in different ways around arts and culture. And then we were hoping to do a car show at the Fall Fest, but learned that that was also the same weekend as homecoming and a car show there. So we didn't want to steal that thunder. So we're brainstorming different ways that we might be able to support at Fall Fest, or how we might be able to bring a car show, which is something that seems the community is asking for at a different event. So no promises, but we're playing around, with maybe Memorial Day or other areas where we might be able to bring that to life. So not wanting that to die. So really fun just to be able to participate with those groups and get to know them and support their efforts as well. So you can see here, I already talked about this, but this was our third year partnering with the city organizers to do the Hispanic Heritage Celebration. And so a lot of positive feedback, I think, just in relationship. We've also really been talking a lot about how we can use these events to elevate just public art in general and make it more of a community-centered art space. So more to come on that. We're just always brainstorming ways that we can make that happen. I don't know if you have music in the park, we did the fans. We had ideas that we would use the fans, people could decorate them and kind of create some type of art piece with them. So just playing out different ideas of how we can continue to elevate art in the space. This one's one of my favorites. When I first joined Cultural Council, I didn't know our role in public art. And then I learned it and I was like, wait, what? And then I was like, yes, this is great. So we really wanted to think about how we can establish inclusive and sustainable guidelines for public art funding selection and the maintenance process, because it's one thing to put something in, it's another to make sure it's well taken care of. And we've had to think a lot about how we take care of art in my term with different things that you'll see here. So we have been working to revise the public art master plan in order to just really make sure that it tracks with where we are now in our understanding of public art. So we learned in our process of revising that we're going to need to do a few additional steps to just get some feedback. So these dates that you have here will happen, just not right here. It'll probably be shifted back just to ensure that we're following through with what we said we would in the master plan, which is just getting more community feedback to ensure that it's not just us moving forward with that. So exciting news there. And then the best part, I'm going to go back here because we've got 3 new public art pieces coming, which I think is super cool. So Cocklebur, the picture here, is going to be coming up, and really excited about this one. I'm not going to take, if I had more time, I would talk about the history of Cocklebur and what was happening here, but excited about this new rendition. And then here at Kalu Park, what will happen. So a lot of fun things around public art. It's one of my favorite ones. Can't go anywhere now without seeing public art. Also having to do maintenance. So you can see here, there were 3 different areas where we needed to be able to contribute to fix things. So there's been graffiti on the mural by the high school. Here at Turnberry Park, we just had to fix some weather damage. And then sadly, the new mural at Monaco Park was cut, but we were able to have a plan in place now that we're following the public art master plan to make sure those things are fixed. And that we don't have to dig around and be like, how are we gonna do that and who's gonna pay for it? Now it's just a much cleaner process in regards to what that looks like. So I'm excited to have a better plan in place for public art maintenance and installation for that matter. And then lastly, this one's my little baby here. Just trying to think about how we can continue to grow our exhibition and just heighten participation in art in general. So we were able to do, we got a mobile monitor to display some public art at the Veterans Memorial Music in the Park concert. We've also done, as I mentioned, some community art building projects, so the bands, and we made some paper flowers at Hispanic Heritage Fest. And we've also been highlighting, well, Melissa has been highlighting on social media, just different artists and the work that they've been doing. So this is an exciting one. At our retreat, we had a lot of really fun ideas as to how we could get more folks engaged, how we can start to draw out more artists. We know that there are artists living here. We just want to find them and we want to bring them to light and celebrate them in hopes to just build our base of artists. So when we put out a call for a large piece or a small piece, the first 10 people to apply are Commerce City residents, not Denver, not Aurora, not anywhere else, but the folks who live here. So more to come on this. I think this will be a huge focus of ours moving into 2026.
Right.
Questions?
Councilmember Kim.
Thank you so much for this presentation, because honestly, it is absolutely amazing as far as what you guys have done. Number one is regarding the music in the Park series.
Yep.
We do have a local band with Those Crazy Nights. I know we've used them during the Memorial Day parade, parade and all that. I know that might be an idea.
Yeah,
Has there ever been thought about potentially trying to extend out the music in the park from 4 to maybe 5, like when in August, to throw an extra one out there? Obviously, I understand the cost is to be something, but
I don't want to burn out.
I know we're burning out the cultural council already, but I mean, just, yeah, to add another event as a 5th event into August.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know that, it's funny that you asked that question because I'm not sure that we've ever really played around with adding events. I think,
They have had it in August, but because kids go back to school early.
yeah, I was just gonna say, I think you start to get into that space of depending on when, so we went back to school like the second week of August. I think it's an interesting thing to consider. I think we have been more focused on how can we ensure that the 4 concerts that we have are well attended and try to increase the attendance there and really focus on making sure that's sustained before considering adding another. But yeah, absolutely. I think it's definitely something to consider. Because that could also be the magic concert, right? Of like back to school. I also think too, there tends to be several other events happening around backpack giveaways, but that could be a really interesting way to engage the community in a different way and draw in a different crowd of folks too, of, hey, come get some school supplies, or hey, I've seen events where they do kids haircuts and they do backpacks. And so it kind of turns into more of a like back to school community event, which may already be happening in several places. I know there was a backpack drive somewhere. So also don't want to step on anyone else's toes.
Love the idea. Hopefully the car show does happen this year. Next
Yeah.
year. I'm just saying, I got a 79 Trans Am. I love it. But that's just my own
Love it.
selfishness. As far as the public art stuff, I mean, I can recall a few months ago, I did put something out there, wondering, do we have any local artists? Because I think about, for example, the art district, right?
Mhm.
You have local artists that are there that put their own Instagram handle on there, where the case is. It'd be great if we did something like that, if we had that here as well.
Yep, 100% agree. One of our members, Tyler, works in Rhino and has really invested in our community, and he's been generating some really great ideas, and that's his biggest it's his thing of, we need to find them, we need to document them, we need to represent them, we need to have them, their art everywhere. So that's a huge focus.
I'll try to find that post. I'll find some of the names and stuff, and I'd be happy to share it over.
That'd be great. Thank you. We have a good list of just folks who participated in the past, but we're also trying to go in and find
Absolutely.
and steal anyone back from Brighton and Thornton. Or maybe just steal them here.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your questions. comments?
Thank you for the presentation and all the work you're doing. I know it is volunteer and there's a lot on your plate, but this, it makes such a difference to the community, so I really appreciate it. I had a couple thoughts or suggestions or recommendations. I basically take them as you want, leave whatever you want, take it what you want.
Always have to try something on.
Right, so as far as the car show, if you haven't been to the homecoming one with Adams 14, you may want to check it out first and then see if you need another one.
Okay.
Because the way Fall Fest and Adams 14 and homecoming, you can easily not combine events, but really celebrate all the events because they do the parade, and then once you're done with the parade, do the car show, and then ideally people move over to Fall Fest, and their car show was really well organized with prizes, and they like it was it'll be great to add to that, honestly, if that's something you guys thought about.
Yeah, thank you.
The other piece is like with the cultural, like at the Music in the Park, we've had showcases for small businesses, right? And so it might be great to think about with art as well, like have a pop-up
Mhm.
tent, another tent for artists to sell their art.
Mm.
And then they create more of a following, so when they actually put art up across the city, people know who they are, so you create a good following. So that's something to think about.
Yeah, thank you.
The last piece is just Derby itself. I know, have you guys talked about, I just recently was at another city, they did a block party where they shut down the main street and it was like Fifth and Main in this area, and it was activated downtown. And I don't know if you guys talked about that at all, like maybe not one more Music in the Park, but replacing the Music in the Park and doing like in the hub in Derby, like you do at the Hispanic Festival. Have you guys talked about it at all or thought about that?
I think in some ways, yes, not directly in the way that you talked about it. I mean, y'all would have fun listening to us brainstorm. At one point, we wanted to shut down Highway 2 and just run cars and art all the way down it. So no idea is too small in my group, but no, I think that's an interesting idea, right? Of ways that we, one, could utilize the group that is at Music in the Park already to do art. And that was one of the ideas that we're actually playing with for 2026 is how we could showcase more art and maybe even sell it at different events and try to pull in artists. And then, I like this idea of a block party. I think it's interesting, this idea of either adding or taking away, right? When you start to establish expectations, even if you don't know that they're expectations, you have to kind of like, okay, if we took one away, what would happen? If we added one, what would happen? But I think there are other places and spaces where we could absolutely think about ways to do block parties or activate communities in smaller ways.
Yeah, because we've been wrestling how to activate Derby, and this would be a great way to activate it. And it would just be, the recommendation would take away one of the Music in the Parks, like in Monaco or whatnot, and move it there.
Into Derby, I see what you're saying.
And maybe make it a little later. It could set up an opportunity for really battle of the bands, right? You can have a couple local bands come out and you can have a really good venue. And then you can really work with the businesses to stay open just a little bit later so that they have some foot traffic and it can actually create more of a, helps economically, helps with the cultural piece, helps with some of the excitement. But I think the biggest piece, it will help us start to reimagine Derby a lot more as a hub.
Yeah.
Do enough of those things would be helpful.
I love that idea. Thanks.
Yeah, but like I said, take them, don't take them, but I just wanted to say nice job and I appreciate the work too.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the ideas. More voices are more powerful, so more ideas, the better.
Councilmember Douglas?
Thank you. So just thank you for all the work you've done, and Melissa, thank you for being the liaison with the city. So much hard work has gone into this, and it's showing. So kind of thank you also for corralling the wild horses, because we are all of we come up with very creative ideas. Some of them are doable, some of them are out there, but we just always keep progressing and adding to. I would love it if you could give us a little bit of background on the two public art pieces that I'm very proud of that we've been working on, that are included in the slide presentation.
Yeah, sure. I will do my best without having notes in front of me here. Melissa, you feel free to chime in because Melissa is much closer with the artist than I have. Just a quick note too, the way these pieces were chosen as part of the public arts master plan, we convene a group of community folks that include business participants and those who are part of the project, the construction project itself. So it's a representation of cultural council and beyond, so not just us. And they go through a whole process of looking at the different artists and the pieces that are submitted and then making that choice and then presenting it to us and then we present it to you. So the first one is Cocklebar here, which will go in on the corner of
Monaco and 60th.
Monaco and 60th. It is a metal, like a metal panel that's, is it like a silhouette? Is that what you say?
Yeah, it's a 4-panel metal piece, so there's 4 panels. So as you go around that intersection of Monaco and 60th, you get this art piece from different perspectives as you are going around the corner.
The artist
Yes.
worked really closely with the Historical Society and others to just bring to life the story of Cocklebar. We're considering having the celebration take place in partnership with them just to really represent. The former sculpture was a actual horse that was on that was like put down a pedestal. And we were hoping to just change up what that looked like and that horse was vandalized a few times, as you might all know. So I think this is, one, it's just gonna add some really fun color. It's a pretty unique piece. We don't have anything that's sculpture and art, like kind of 2D and 3D together. So I think it's come together really nice. And then at Calu Park, you can see here, this is a mosaic. And as you might know, that park where this piece will go is in a floodplain. So it's actually going to be on the ground, which is a pretty unique ask of an artist. So they were able to show the representation of the 4 tribes and groups there. And then they represent, you can see the different symbols and things. So it'll be poured in concrete and there'll be a plaque in order to be able to see this. So really excited just for the Indigenous representation, and we've had, I think, just good participation with him, and it's been, again, it's a unique ask to put something in the ground rather than have it be up higher in the air. So yeah, the concrete's been poured, I think, so we're moving along pretty well with these 2 projects. Anything you'd add, Melissa?
No, the plaque will describe the significance of, this piece has significance in every single detail, from even just that it's a 7-foot diameter has meaning, and all the little intricacies you see in that 7-foot diameter. The plaque will educate all the people visiting the park on all of those things. So yeah, very excited for both pieces.
And then there's another one too, the young people worked with the Sand Creek Greenway. You can see it here to put a piece together made out of plexiglass and found trash on the Greenway. And they came up with the whole design themselves, and it sat on the Greenway for, I don't know, quite a while actually, maybe, yeah, a couple of months. And they're gonna put that on permanent display in the Eagle Point Rec Center, so it'll be mounted on the ground. And the whole concept of this was to bring awareness to the amount of trash that ends up in public spaces and the impact that that has on local wildlife. So it's a bison, and inside the bison is trash. So this idea that the things that we're throwing on the ground are impacting the animals. So it's pretty cool to see them do it all.
Councilmember Teeter.
Yeah, I was wondering, it's kind of a late start on the ice rink that's gonna be opening up on December the 3rd. Is you guys made aware of that, or?
Made aware of.
Yes, there's an ice rink on December 3rd.
It's opening up, or do you have any, are you coordinating anything with the?
Oh, we are on the
No.
ice rink side of things, but with the opening being at the tree lighting, we are hoping to have a presence at the tree lighting, so we're partnering with the city on that piece.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking we probably need something in the way of shuttle going back and forth, that we haven't had. I mean, we've had horse rides and stuff, but probably need some type of shuttle, go back and forth. Just an idea.
Thanks. Mark that on my calendar. Ice rink and tree lighting December.
Mhm.
Shuttles.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
Yes.
You know, back in the, I'd say 2024, 25, used to have like derby days.
Mm,
No, I'm saying 2004,
I
2000.
was following you, yeah. That's okay.
Yeah, they used to gather down there in Derby and they had a dump tank, all kinds of things that had the community come out. Remember that?
Yeah, but that was Derby Days during the summer. It wasn't,
I thought it was Derby days.
that was Derby Days during the summer, but they also did the Winter Fest.
Yeah, they did winter this, but you want to do a dump tank in the winter, but say.
Bring back
They had a
Derby.
they had a couple Derby Days celebrations in the summer and then in the fall.
Okay, nice.
That's my report.
Derby days growing up here as a kid, was going on back, clear back in the sixties. And the Catholic Church that sits there always put it on and everything was in their parking lot.
Mm,
And then over the years, they started to not do it. The city stepped in and started to add it and start doing it in Derby on the streets. Veterinarian would come and, work with you to vaccinate your animals.
nice.
There were kids' rides and dump tanks, like Steve was saying, and there was a lot of community things happening in Derby. And it slowly has just kind of died off,
Yeah.
but I still remember that as a kid. And Cockabur the horse, from where I grew up to where my friend's house was, Cockabur was on the way. We used to stop and feed him and pet him. So I knew Cockabur personally until Mayor Pro Tem had the lady that owned Cockabur put into jail on Christmas Eve. And the city attorney went down and bailed her out because he knew that would be a problem if he let it go any longer. So,
Yes.
Cockabur the people that grew up here know Cockabur.
Yeah.
History.
Yeah, and I really, I mean, this is not, yes, thank you. And it sounds like we need to bring back Derby Days with Battle of the Bands and dunk tanks, with the concert, I hear it.
And a car show.
And a car show. As long as we check.
If you bring back Derby Days, please get the businesses to participate.
Yes.
So that the businesses are open and, they're taking advantage of the fact that people are there. It needs to be not just a city event, it needs to be a community.
Yes. And this, Cockleburr art piece is not going to be quite what Cockleburr was in the past, but we're hopeful and I think believe that it will still bring good representation to the horse and to the owner. So, my closing note will just be Derby Days and an extra, that concert, $12,000, not that much.
One more, Councilmember Kim.
Just some
Oh, that's really
ideas
good.
for fundraising ideas here, just because he mentioned it too. City council dunk tank,
Oh, no, I didn't
have
say
people
that.
donate money
Oh.
if they want to dunk somebody. Or potentially, I'm not saying take us to jail kind of thing, but potentially have an idea of like, hey, how much are you willing to raise to put this person in one of the jail cells for, I don't know, just an hour
You
or
ain't gonna
two.
make much money, we're all going.
501c3, just thinking, maybe it might be a way to fundraise at some of these events, right? If it
We
happens in
do
the next,
pies in the face too.
yeah,
Yeah.
pies, oh, perfect, yes.
No salt alone, but fine.
That's easier, right?
That's easier.
Yeah, jail still feels a little, dunk tank cold.
I guess if we leave, just in all seriousness around,
Yes.
like, if you need additional dollars and you look at these ideas and requests, please be unapologetic to asking us, because I think we're all in agreement around like, we want to activate Derby. So if Derby Day is a reality and you guys are talking about it, like maybe we need additional dollars because you're all volunteer, maybe you need like a professional staff or an event planner to come in, really be creative in that sense, because that's what we're here for, to try to remove barriers so that can happen without, burning everyone out to do it. There are ways you can think about it. So going back to your team, you had 12,000 there. Like, you're like, hey, we want to do another event, please consider that and talk to us about it, because we all want that too.
Okay, I appreciate that, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Zoe.
And I didn't thank Melissa, but Melissa's been a huge help, so thank you, Melissa.
Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah. Appreciate your time, thank you. Thank you.
Showing a little house there.
Yeah. That's right, I said, my kids.
All right, Colorado Boulevard improvement.
Evening, Mayor, City Council, nice to see you all tonight. We will be discussing the potential reconstruction of Colorado Boulevard from 68th to Brighton. Maybe. Maybe not. I have a solution to it. Okay, so. Tonight, we will discuss the project history for the Colorado Boulevard corridor. We will also go through a cost estimate with City Council for what it would take to reconstruct Colorado from 68 to Brighton. And then finally, we'll discuss a potential budget recommendation for council to consider. So a little bit of history, starting with the original Colorado Boulevard project that we improved from 68th to 70th Avenue. So several years ago, the city was awarded a Safer Main Streets grant for the purpose of reconstructing that particular segment of Colorado. That reconstruction work included roadway reconstruction, new street lighting, adding in a concrete trail, new curb and gutter, and enhanced bicycle and pedestrian connectivity, specifically focused on getting folks to the RTD station right there. Construction just wrapped up in December of last year. Yay, we are still working on some closeout paperwork, but that was a pretty major project for us. And then this past summer, council did ask staff to prepare a cost estimate to add additional reconstruction to Colorado Boulevard, but this time south of 68th going to Brighton. So this map here just shows you the two different segments. The green is the segment we finished in 2024, and the orange would be the segment that we were asked to consider for this cost estimate this evening. So a potential reconstruction scope from 68th to 70th would look much like it did for 68th North. So roadway reconstruction would entail a road surface replacement. We'd also, of course, look at new sidewalk, new lighting, drainage improvements, and we would absolutely look at user safety, and that would be vehicular, pedestrian, cyclists, all roadway users. And we'd also look at any warranted traffic calming treatments as a part of the project. And then I'll caveat this by saying that available right-of-way would certainly be a factor. This segment of Colorado Boulevard is a little different than the segment for the north because we're closer to some residential properties. And then reconstruction would not increase the road capacity or level of service for the intersections, since it is just reconstruction and not a widening project. So what does that cost estimate look like? Our best guess is about $9 million, and that includes everything from design, construction management, the reconstruction itself. And we put that estimate together based on the cost to do the original segment of Colorado Boulevard. So again, that smaller segment was just over $3 million. So we're estimating this larger segment would be about $9 million. And that $9 million also includes our estimate for inflation. So there are currently not any funds available for the project, but that doesn't mean that we could not put together a scope of work for this project and include it in the 2026 through 2031 CIP request process. So what that would look like is staff would draft the project scope in early next year. We would submit it to the CIP review committee. That scoring committee is cross-departmental, and they rank the CIP projects across 7 different criteria. And then projects that score the highest are then passed on to the city manager for recommendation, who then recommends the CIP proposals to you all that you see during the budget cycle. So that would be our recommendation, our best path forward to fund that $9 million. I do also think it's worth mentioning that we could start with just design of the project, which we're estimating to be $1 million. And that $1 million, again, is included in the larger $9 million estimate. So certainly happy to answer any questions about scope, cost, or anything else that you have.
Questions? Councilmember Douglas and Councilmember Teeter. Sorry.
Go ahead.
You're welcome to.
I just wanted to make sure we remember that everything on the west side of Colorado Boulevard, or not everything, but most of it is still zoned industrial. So I keep on hearing talk about people wanting to make it no trucks allowed. And we need to keep in mind that we need to build the road to accommodate those trucks. And we can put in whatever devices we need to make them go slower, but the trucks need to be able to use that road. That's just a comment.
Councilman Douglas?
So one of the things that you really need to consider in this is that there's an issue with drainage over there.
Mhm.
And I don't know if that's part of the 9 million, but that really needs to be addressed first and foremost, because I've gotten a lot of complaints from people who their properties back up to Colorado Boulevard and their whole backyards are swamps,
Yeah,
a
and
lot.
we've heard that as well, and what I can say to that is the 9 million would include drainage improvements, much like it did for the other segment of Colorado. That said, we are also working on that project for 68th Avenue, right, which council just approved the contract for a few weeks ago. And that project will also look at drainage, not for Colorado, but on 68th, and many of those homeowners, I believe, are the folks that you're referencing.
And then the other thing is, have you considered realigning the 68th, how it, when you're going west, on the other side, they don't, the roads don't align.
Are you talking about 68th and Colorado? That
Yeah,
weird,
where-
that
where you
alignment?
go across, if you're
Yeah,
going
so
across.
that is an interesting intersection, and we would certainly have challenges with right-of-way and available property that the city owns if we were to realign it. Now, that said, as a part of that 68th Avenue project, the consultant is looking at what we could feasibly do for that intersection that does fall within that scope of work.
Because I've heard that a lot from the people who live over in that area, that they would really like to see that aligned so that it goes straight across. And actually, they'd love to see a light there, but, you know. And then as far as the industrial being there, they could be rerouted to, so that they're going south. If they've got to go a few more extra blocks to stay out of the residential area, then so be it. I mean, they're here to make money. The people who are living there are there to live. And so, whether they consider it an inconvenience or not, something like that should be looked at. And
Well, but we did talk about the truck routes a few months ago, and council did direct staff to look at what changing the truck route off of Colorado Boulevard would look like. So we're engaging with the consultant on that, and we'll come back to you at a later time with that
Okay, I would
conversation.
also say to engage with the community as well. I mean, consultants don't live here, so they don't know. They're looking at paper, and what looks good on paper might not equate to how it would impact people who are living there. So I would definitely say to engage with the community, because they're gonna tell you what's gonna work over there. So, but those were the two things that I wanted to bring, well, three things actually, so.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you for the presentation.
Councilmember Ford?
Yeah, one of the things is there's a RTD subcontractor that provides the buses for RTD, and that's where they store them and they route them out of. That could be an issue. So if you build a road, you need to build it where it can handle some of that kind of traffic, because I know those buses go every direction out of that facility.
Are you talking about the structural integrity of the roadway to hold the
Yeah.
weight? Yeah. Thank
And the one thing that I think that I have thought has always needed to be addressed is because the only way you get out of that area is 68th Avenue or 56th Avenue. And unless you have a car, then you can go 60th under that bridge. Under that bridge has been horrible forever. At some point, Commerce City needs to look at where Colorado hits Brighton. coming across and going over the tracks and getting rid of that so that trucks could move out and go to the east without having to go through residential areas.
Well, the good news with that is we do have a grant, the Reconnecting Communities Grant in partnership with CDOT that we have been awarded. Things are a little up in the air right now. We know we'll get the funding, we just don't know when. And the subject of that grant is that section of the bridge.
There's an old purple building that sits there, kind of where that road would come across.
Yep.
That was an old dairy, where they had milk, you know, it was like Carl's Farm type dairy. But it should come through in that area instead of going down under 270 and wrapping back and then coming back around 270 and coming out. But I think that's one thing to keep in mind. But drainage in that area is a problem. And so, I think that should be looked at, but there is, from the aspect of those businesses that are over there, like that bus facility, First Transit, I think is the name of it. If they can't come out of their property and get one way or the other, they're gonna have to have access somehow. So, but that's all I have.
Councilmember Dukes?
Just so that I'm understanding this right, so the assumption with the 9 million, you made some assumptions that the 9 million will cover the review of the whole street and the integrity of the street. So for the wear and tear with the trucks, right?
So as a part of reconstruction, we would rip up all of the existing asphalt and put down new roadway.
Oh, but it'll stay the same integrity, right? Of like the high traffic or.
Yeah, it wouldn't impact, this particular project as presented would not impact truck volume or roadway use.
Well, so if we reconstruct it, do the reconstruction, it's gonna be the same integrity for the trucks,
Yes.
right? That's where the 9 million, that's, okay. And is the assumption 9 million is the floor, or it could be cost more?
Well, we're not building it today, right? So we do expect some inflation. We did build a small amount of that into the estimate, but it would really depend how quickly we had design and we're shovel ready.
Okay.
So this is our best, most complete estimate that we can offer at this time.
And then the other piece is this estimate includes the drainage, and so the
It
drainage
does.
could cost some more as well once you get.
It could, once we were to have design, once we go to bid, then we have a full idea of the cost.
A typical timeline what I'm hearing you say is you'll go to the CIP review team, talk to the prioritization, and if that's approved, what's long? I guess it'll fall on the CIP list and how far out we can get, or.
Yeah, it would really depend on how it scored next year with the other projects. We have dozens of projects that are submitted that don't score highly enough. We would score this one just the same as we do the others with the 7 criteria, and then we look at available funding, recommend the most high-ranking projects to our city manager, and then he is the one who puts together the recommendation for you all that you start seeing in April of every year.
And I guess, the other question I have is just in your professional experience and knowing that area, you see the need for that reconstruction and the challenges with it, right? Like, and you said you heard folks reach out to you already about the drainage. Like, can you share more about what you're seeing and hearing about?
I mean, we certainly hear the same comments during citizen communication that you all do, which is primarily the drainage, from a traffic perspective.
Are you hearing it outside of public hearing, or is it, or public?
No, sir,
comment?
not directly from residents.
Not directly from residents.
But that doesn't impact the scoring of a project. So good news is if it scores highly, it scores highly regardless of how many folks we have coming out saying they need it.
Okay. I know the next step, I'm okay with the idea of moving forward with this. I know we're not asking for consensus yet, but I just put it out there around if the next step for this project is to bring it to the CIP review team for potential scoring, which would bring the city manager, I think it makes sense to start the process now. Because in the future, we'll find out if it scores or not, and then we'll have to look at the data and the dollar amount in the future. So I'm okay with moving it forward.
Councilmember Kim?
To piggyback off of what he was saying, because he stole exactly what I was gonna ask you. It's a question regarding, so are the options that I'm understanding is like, do you want to either run this through the SIP process, or do you want to potentially provide get the design estimate in? Is that what I'm understanding? Like, what are the courses or options that you're asking for?
So our best option would be following the CIP process, since right now funds are tied up in other projects that are already approved.
Okay. Yeah, I'm okay with that as well. I know not just mainly just from my opinion, is I think that makes sense too, to run it through that process. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you bringing this forward because it has come up quite a bit. And so with this $9 million, hypothetically, what the base product's gonna be, is it gonna be asphalt or concrete? Because of the weight of those vehicles that travel on that road, I would think go with concrete just to,
We would construct it based off of our engineering design standards for what weight capacity we would need to have for the truck. So what that road base thickness is, I don't know off the top of my head, but it would look like it does on the northern section of Colorado. If you would like to take a look at what the end surface would look like
Sure.
visually.
yeah, and I'm looking over also at, there's Hanson Street, and that's pretty rough, it goes to the west. It lines up with Caliber Collision, and it also comes up to where the streets are uneven when you go to the east. So I think just, not just looking at Colorado Boulevard, but that whole region there, making sure that those side streets are cleaned up as well, Hanson Street, because either Hanson Street goes away and has the traffic come up to Colorado. And that way you can alleviate a lot of problems, because 68 doesn't go all the way through. 68 on the west side of Colorado just goes to Hanson Street. So I would like to see what that would look like to clean that up. Because otherwise it's gonna look like what they're trying to do on 60th and Parkway now, with the state coming in and changing the route around. This is what Hanson Street looks like over there on 68th. Because 68th, where Alsep is, Alsep Elementary School, if you go to the west or to Colorado, 68 doesn't, it kind of dips down and goes straight across on the west side. So just making those, actually it doesn't, it just, when you go across 68th, you have to go down a half a block to get to the other portion of 68th going west. So maybe if that could be part of the study to clean that up. That way you're taking care of things now for the future, instead of just cleaning up one thing and then later on come back and clean that up.
So if we were to move forward with this project, we could certainly talk about what that scope of work would look like. For the existing 68th project though, since we already have out to bid, that's not an opportunity,
Yeah,
but
no,
that
this
doesn't mean
isn't
it's
doable.
not in the future. Yeah,
This is
absolutely.
just, I'm just tying this to Colorado
Got it.
project. And I know it was allocated, what, $20,000 to $30,000 for a consultant to look at this? Or was that, what was that tied to?
To look at,
For Colorado 68th, or was that for 68th?
so the project that we have in design right now is the 68th Avenue Improvement
Okay.
Project.
All right, this is separate.
Yes.
Okay,
Nothing is allocated for this.
Yeah, nothing's allocated for this.
thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right,
Can you go around too?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I forgot my question. So is the $1 million, has that already been allocated? No.
It has not. The first time that we received when we received this request a couple months ago, it was just to look at what it would cost to do the project. So there haven't been any allocations made.
Okay. Gosh, I wish I could remember my question. Oh, I know, you had talked about a grant that was already, received.
That was to fund the project that we just wrapped up, so 68 going north on Colorado Boulevard.
Okay.
And then the other grant I referenced was the RCN grant in partnership with
RCN.
CDOT. And that is to address the 68th Avenue area that Councilmember Ford was referencing. We know we'll get the funding, we just don't know when, but the good news is we have received confirmation from the federal government. It's still moving forward. We're just in a holding period.
Okay, and what does that cover then?
Great question. We don't have design quite yet. So it's just to look at how we could improve that area in partnership with CDOT and their I-270 project.
So it's money that will probably go more towards looking at design than anything else.
Correct, and
Not
becoming-
really having something tangible come out of it.
Well, what would come out of it would be a design that would then make us competitive for grants to actually do the construction.
So a grant for another grant.
Precisely, yep. Shovel-ready projects are very attractive to our grant holders.
Thank you for explaining that. And do you know how much money is confirmed with that?
Off the top of my head, I do not.
All right. Thank you. And I'm glad I remembered what my question was.
Of course.
Any other council members? Second round. Councilmember Teeter.
Well, back to that 60th Avenue project, the way it's designed now to where it comes 60th wraps around and comes out on the south side of 270 and then goes underneath 270 again. Yeah, we've been talking about possibly just running it straight through and over. And the bridge right now, according to 270, needs to be replaced over the railroad tracks anyway. And rather than replace that old bridge, it would make sense to work with the railroad on moving that over to where we can get trucks under, making it deeper.
Or you can go over it. You go over the tracks. If you straighten 60, if you go over the tracks and have plenty of room, you just have to acquire the land by that purple area.
Yeah, but then you're looking at millions of dollars.
Going under is gonna cost more.
You think so?
Absolutely.
Well, anyway, it's something to think about. Good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
City Manager Rogers report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things for your awareness. NPD, we're having our third annual hosted Dia de los Muertos event this Saturday, evening from 6 to 9 at Our Lady Mother Church. Always has been a good time. We are doing that in partnership with Cultivando and Adelante. So for the community, please come out. I know that there's been a lot of discussion around trucks at 106 in Havana, the Fulton area. We've continued to continue our disposition at that area and continue to issue tickets, and we're seeing some change in behaviors with the large vehicles. Today I signed a contract for an as-needed basis service to provide large vehicle towing, property removal services that will help us with abandoned and damaged vehicles across the full spectrum. Like I said, that could be multi-purpose trailers, that can be semis, that can be, once again, your fifth wheel. So glad that we're finally able to kind of get this process. Thank you to the city attorney's office as well as finance and our procurement team to get us to this stage. So that will at least help us on one of the issues that was raised around RV large vehicle parking, the abandoned sense. We're working internally on doing some research as it pertains to what other municipalities, how they conduct their enforcement, and thinking about the progressive discipline tools that they have at their access. You know, when we do have the conclusion of that, we will send you all an issue briefing or a memo with respect to that research. I think it will take us a couple of months to make sure that we have captured all of the things, both as far as the issues, what we think are resolutions, some observations, and what we believe are next steps, and the impacts of those next steps for you all, for your consideration on how we would bring an ordinance forward, or whether or not we need to have a much more deeper conversation and a study session about some of those pivotal decision points that you all would have to make. As we were just talking about Colorado, we actually have a traffic reporting device that was installed last week between 68th and 70th Avenues. That was due to a request for speed data in that area. So once that's completed, we'll collect that data and collaborate with the engineering team on the process if any countermeasures are necessary for that stretch of road. From a last but not least, from our community well-being team in recognition of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, they were partnering or had partnered with Clinica Tebiak Health Team and Anything Library for an event on October 17th, where participants learn about risk and preventative factors, early detection and treatment, and obviously had the opportunity to be able to answer any questions from those who were there in participation. So I'd like to give a shout out to Clinica Tebiak and Anything Library for the resources and the service support during that event.
Any questions? Councilmember Dukes?
Jason, thanks for the update. Quick question, hope this doesn't take you off guard, but we approved the radar detector ban. You said something about the sensor, and I'm like, where we're at with the Jeep, radar detector for Jeep.
The Jeep is still being upfitted with that vehicle. I have a sit down with the chief to maybe get a more exact time frame on when that would be delivered. Tiffany's not here because part of it is also a technology-based application. We're talking about the radar van. I know it was still being upfitted at last that I understood, and delivery is still on track for December timeframe.
Yes, that's what the last update I had as well.
For December, okay.
Yeah.
So we're getting 3 of them, right?
We only get one for
I was like-
our Avis. I see what you did there. But right now, our contract with Avis only allows for us to have one. We can expand on that depending on the success that we have. But as with anything, particularly around vehicles and having to be outfitted with the right technology, it's just a long lead time.
Okay. So we can't put Councilmember Ford just in the back of it with a radar gun?
That's pretty novel. I don't know if any of the tickets would hold up in court, but.
Chase them up.
Okay.
It's one way to try.
Yeah, it's one way to try. But, they are aware about it, and I will say just generally speaking, we're trying to work through this, and it's just not us. There's a lot of municipalities that are using the same vendors.
Okay.
You all are going to see at some point in time an agreement between us and the fire district and being able to utilize their services to help outfit other police-related vehicles just because of the lead times that we are seeing.
Okay.
So, I mean, I guess it's a good problem to have is that, we're able to get some of these vehicles out and on the roads for what we have and need, but there's limited groups in it or the process that we have to meet that just was going to draw it out a little bit.
Thank you.
They used to have an agreement in place. Here's with the maintenance facilities.
I do remember hearing that. I can't say that during my time here that we've had one.
Yeah, it was back in my other time when I remember when it was put in there, but yeah, but it was supposed to be working with
Yeah.
the city and fire department.
I would think that, as we, have an idea of when that's coming, there's gonna have to be some communication out to the community about what to expect, We're not gonna get everybody to change behavior, but that's the biggest thing that we can drive with people being aware of what's now another resource for us to be able to aid with speed enforcement. So, as we get closer to that, knowing that, there's been some questions asked around the table to make sure that you kind of know when we're gonna have that launch of that, but I have not gotten any updates.
I also noticed that AdCom has an open bay now to get vehicles in for the radio services and stuff over there. We just toured that last week. Staying.
I appreciate it.
Any other council members have questions for? Just had a question, where are we at with the trash contract?
Trash contract is in its final stages of being completed and then to be signed in anticipation for January.
Okay.
I know last I heard, Public Works was working through some of the final details as far as terms and conditions on, I would say substantively, nothing has changed from what was presented to you all, what you all agreed to with respect to the major deal points, the electrification of the fleet, the basic services as it pertains to trash and recycling, provisional blue bins that we have here at all of our facilities will continue to operate as such.
Okay. And then Clubhouse, I know that got delayed.
Clubhouse, we've been able to get give me 1 second. I do have an update on that. There's been a meeting in the past week or so to talk about construction logistics, where the construction trailer, the pro shop trailer, the food truck is going to be placed when we are able to start breaking ground. One of the bigger pieces that we've been able to ensure with our vendor is to get a guaranteed maximum price of GMP. So that way we know that the project will not exceed X dollar amount, and that dollar amount that's been identified as the guaranteed maximum price is 12.1 million. So that still leaves us a healthy contingency within that budget. As you know, we've already had 13.6 appropriated. So, as you get in the ground, things will come up as they always typically do with construction activity. That 1.4 will be able to help cover. So that's benefit. If not, then we get to the end of the project and we still have leftover contingency, we may be able to evaluate how that can be shifted to help close the gap of other projects.
Okay, thank you. Hey,
And I was mistaken, the fire agreement is not I did say November, but next Monday is when it will be on the agenda for the fire department to help assist us in upfitting police vehicles.
okay. Thank you. City Attorney Zarzaki.
Yes, so I actually just reached out to the staff attorney that's working on the trash agreement. And it sounds like they're getting ready to move forward with signature this week. So substantive negotiations are done. I was just texting the city manager, letting him know that's the update I just got from Quali. As you all know, I was away last week at the IMLA annual conference. It was in New Orleans. There were roughly 700, I would guess, city attorneys, municipal attorneys from throughout the country. There's some good news and there's some bad news, right? The bad news is there's a lot of change happening at the federal level, at state levels, and there's a lot of action taking place at local levels on issues that are very similar to the issues that our community is dealing with. That's the bad news, right? The good news is sort of the top priority topics of conversation that I heard last week are areas that we are certainly focused on. And for the most part, we have codes already in place to deal with those issues. For example, homelessness, right? Also the use of our public nuisance ordinance provisions to deal with homeless populations and illicit activities taking place on public properties, but also more broadly, illicit activities taking place in the city. And I think we should really start thinking about the ordinances that we have already established for the use of public nuisances. As I mentioned before I left, the AI presentation was a big crowd drawer. Interestingly, I think they said 75 to 80% of municipal law offices don't think that they use AI, and in reality, they are. I mean, there are just staff members that are using AI, not understanding the ramifications that can transpire if you don't know what you're doing, and that also applies to a more broad population within municipal government. So I know IT is working very hard to put together the city's first AI policy. And I have a staff attorney that is assigned to review that. I'm going to be sitting down with the city manager this week to talk about that. And so some of the lessons learned that I heard from that presentation. For example, should the city start thinking about having a licensed AI so that we know exactly what type of AI the city's using, right? And these are the types of conversations that municipalities are starting to have, and it's happening quick. There was a chart talking about AI use a year and a half ago to AI use now, and the exponential growth is pretty staggering. So that was another fantastic presentation. I won't go through all of them, but one I did want to flag was there was a presentation on municipal governance and enforcing on homeless populations post Grants Pass, the Supreme Court case. And I'm happy to say that we are utilizing all the tools that were identified as a kind of the gold standard, right? So we have policies in place to clarify that we are notifying individuals that are leaving things behind. And it's painstaking to do, but we are inventorying those items, right? We are giving them an opportunity to come collect those items, et cetera. And those were some of the pitfalls that they had identified that many municipalities are not doing. They're just taking things, throwing them away, and not giving anyone notice and an opportunity to collect their belongings. So I do recognize from an operational standpoint, it's a lot of time, effort, money expended, but given the legal landscape that we're operating under, I do think that we are doing the best that we can. Happy to answer any questions that any of you have, but those are some of the highlights. Again, it was 5 days. It was jam-packed. It was a great conference. And really appreciate you all letting me take the time to go away and do that while you guys were continuing to do business.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Council members have questions for our attorney? All right, on the council report. Any council members? Councilmember Kim.
Yeah, so first I attended two things, boards and commission interviews on Saturday. And then also did actually attended, Tiffany had the City of Wheat Ridge and also Lafayette, Chief Information Officers or Communication Officers, CIOs, I can't remember the name is. But anyways, it was a great event to talk about the different issues that we have as far as in the IT world. Couple things I just wanted to share out as well that with regards to our residents essentially. I mean, you got to make sure, for example, just use strong passwords. Don't use the word password as your password. Honestly, they make it more complex as well, adding numbers, symbols, make it between 16 to 32 characters long. That's coming from my military days that I still use today. If the opportunity does exist within whatever website you're going into, try to enable two-factor authentication so that, when you log in, it tells you, hey, you got someone trying to log in, is this you? As a matter of fact, myself, I have that through Facebook. And over the weekend, I actually had a code that was sent to me asking me, if this was you that was trying to reset your password, enter the code in. If it wasn't, don't. So okay. So in turn, I had to change my password again, make it even more complex, and not. The other thing I'd mention to residents too is make sure you keep your software updated, whether it's your laptop or the Windows system you're utilizing, software that you have, because obviously there are always vulnerabilities that are coming out. Tiffany, correct me if I'm wrong on anything I'm saying, just FYI. The other thing is phishing attacks. We do have a lot of phishing attacks that occur on senior citizens. More so in the aspect of, for example, somebody will text you to say, hey, I'm your daughter, I'm your son, I'm in jail, I need you to help me out. Can you please, send me money or something? Well, validate that claim. Call that person on the phone number that you actually have to say, was this you or was this not you? I see horror stories of senior citizens who are essentially going to like a crypto bank or something like that, a bank to transfer money over to be a crypto to these scammers. Text message as well. If you get a text message out of the blue saying, hey, how are you? And you don't have that number saved, don't even bother responding. Go ahead and block it right away. Emails, obviously, emails are a thing. It's some of the emails that you see, you can tell, click on this link because you just won $5 million. Obviously, yeah, but there's a lot of sophistication occurring these days with hackers essentially Those that are trying to scam people out, don't even click on the link, because once you click on that link, they have access to your computer immediately from that point, because they're able to transfer back, get your MAC address, figure out your IP, and be able to log in. That takes me to my next point, your home network. If your home network is not up to date, and the fact that you don't actually have a strong password associated with it, there are people who like to drive around, potentially try to hack into your Wi-Fi. And once they hack in your Wi-Fi, they know they can see all the computers and everything else connected to it. Now imagine that from an IP, they can get your internet protocol, your IP address. I can log into that IP address to figure out what you're searching, what you're doing. I can enable keystroking, which means if you're trying to log into your bank account, I can pull up that information immediately, and I can drain your account immediately as well. So I say that because your network password, your home Wi-Fi password needs to be as strong as possible. Make it different from your actual router password because you don't want them to know that information. And obviously I already mentioned security software, antivirus, firewalls are important, whether it's through Norton or through McAfee. I don't know if McAfee's still good or not. I don't know if it's good, but anyways, I urge residents and obviously folks here in this room to please start thinking about that. Those are just some of the simple things, right? But there are more complex things out there these days compared to what I remember back in my Pentium 1, Pentium 2 days when I was running off of Windows 95 and Windows 98. But it was a great seminar essentially that we had. There's one video I do want to share with you guys. I'd love for those that weren't able to attend, because this will be, this is something that's very interesting. Go ahead.
Thanks so much for joining us today as we continue our journey with the C3 cybersecurity program. I want to give a big shout out to all of you for attending the panel presentation, hearing real life stories from our colleagues in Lafayette and Wheat Ridge about their past cyber events and how they navigated those in real life will be something we all remember. I'm truly sorry I couldn't be there with you today. I'm currently traveling to Florida for a conference. And no, it's not just for the sunshine and palm trees, though I won't complain. But I didn't want to miss the chance to say thank you for showing up, staying engaged, and helping us build a more cyber-aware city. Now, because we believe in balancing security with a little bit of joy, I'm thrilled to announce a new appreciation initiative for our amazing city staff, Unlimited Fun at Work. Starting today, you can enjoy free ice cream cones every day at 2 p.m. with a paid 1 hour leisure time. Yes, you heard that right. Cybersecurity is cool, but ice cream is cooler when you can enjoy it every day. Swing by my office and I personally will serve you up some sweet treats at 2 p.m. Additionally, it will be mandated that all conference rooms be fitted with Lazy Boy recliners with built-in massagers and climate control so you can enjoy your ice cream in comfort. And before I wrap up, a huge thank you to Jesse and Ernesto for joining us today. Your insights and support are always appreciated. Tiffany, Taryn, and Michael, you were incredible. Thank you for your creativity and cybersecurity knowledge. You will be getting a double scoop each day for the next year. Thanks again for your participation, and remember, stay alert, stay secure, and don't forget your 2 p.m. cone.
Tiffany, you could pause it from there.
Hey, that's not me.
So first off, I'm expecting the ice cream to occur. However, in all seriousness, I mean, there's technology these days where I can take, for example, if I want to take Charles's voice, you have AI generated voice learning that can pull his voice, pull his likeness, his image, and create something that's gonna be negative out there. Technology is so, it definitely could be scary these days. I mean, obviously, when I first saw the video, I was like, okay, that's more of a rookie putting it together, but there's much more complex ones that are out there. So again, I'd say be careful with what you put out there. Be careful with, again, strong passwords are key. 2-factor authentication is key. Love talking about this stuff, especially being Cybersecurity Awareness Month altogether, but huge shout out to Tiffany for putting this together, along with Taryn and was it Michael, I think it was, having the two cities come in and talking more about that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tiffany, for doing that. I knew right away when Jason started talking that something wasn't right. That it was to trick us, so, yeah. Let's see the smile in the eyes.
Still want that ice cream though.
Likes a super big.
Those cheeks are gonna pop.
Crazy though.
Any other council members?
Yeah. You recorded that, didn't you? Isn't that available for the other? Yeah, if you haven't seen that whole thing, it's well worth watching. They recorded it for you. And,
You can definitely get it out to the full council for those who couldn't participate on Friday.
and there's a lot of good information, coming from Lafayette.
Yeah.
Text and it talked about some pretty
The ransomware that
scary
occurred.
things. Yeah,
Yeah.
very scary things. And I thought you were supposed to, rather than block, you were supposed to delete and then report.
You can do both, but I mean, as far as with text messages on your personal cell phone that you get through, you can block it and report it too.
Do all of the above.
Do all the above.
Yeah.
am? Oh, okay.
So did the ransomware start because of the phishing? Like what happened? Did it take over?
At 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
It happened.
You wanna go into that, Tiffany?
There was one in Wheat Ridge that started at 2:00 in the morning and an officer first reported some weird activity. The one with, Lafayette, I'm not sure that they ever actually figured out the root cause of what happened, but it was related to some sort of phishing attempt, is what I understood. Lafayette did pay the ransom because they decided that operationally they couldn't recover without some level of, support from the bad guys, whereas Wheat Ridge was able to recover with backups.
So that you all know, we do what I would call emergency operations training, where we have our leadership that are taking through different scenarios. We've done one with PD, we've done one with IT. So that way we are looking at what existing gaps that we have in those scenarios and how we shore those up and how we improve and strengthen communication and reliance on other services. So it was a interesting tabletop exercise for us to do internally, thinking about what we would have, what would impact us. And, we have a vendor, we have a consultant that can help guide us through us. And that was, I think, very meaningful in thinking about cybersecurity in this day and age. No different when we think about the traditional threats to utilities, to our road infrastructure, to our buildings, and how to be able to respond, and how to be able to communicate that out broadly to the community. So, for the last, couple of months, we've been really digging in deep, trying to fill those gaps from an operational standpoint. And think about where that ultimately lead and growing. Like I said, you all will see some culmination of that at the beginning of next year as an update to our new emergency operations plan that will be adopted. That takes a lot of these thoughts, it takes a lot of these scenarios that we've been planning for ourselves and working through and having them be codified as required as part of our charter. So, kudos to IT and kudos to PB and their cross collaboration so that we can get to that stage with you all.
Thank you.
Any council members have any reports?
On that same issue, are we in communication with the water department, fire department on this cyber stuff?
We didn't have the fire department at the table when we did our tabletop, but when we did our larger EOP scenario, we did have fire, we did have AdCom 9/11. We had others that are in participation and support regionally there at that exercise as well.
I mean, something as simple as just taking out the sewer system. That means that shut our city down. Or the water system, either or. I mean,
And that was one of the talking, that was definitely one of the pieces as we kind of walked away, we can understand the impact to our infrastructure, but how has that then bleed out to those who connect into our system, such as fire, water, even Excel, FlyDen, you name it, they all have some connection piece.
School district get involved.
School districts as well. So they all have a touch point. So a lot of this came to think about how we build those firewalls and those protections and how you close off those systems before the ransomware or that cybersecurity, really starts to bleed outside of our containment. So like I said, really good efforts and, I can't tip my hat enough to raise our own awareness internal to the organization so that we can then give the ways that awareness outside of our organization with our new to be adopted plan early next year.
Thank you.
And on that AdCom thing I brought up earlier, they had 4 patrol cars in there at one time, so that's how big the bay is. So I'm sure our techs probably already know about that, but maybe not. That's all I got.
Okay, yeah, the council members have any reports? Over the weekend, I was talking to some folks. And the incident happened last week. We had SWAT out on 104 and it blocked off Idalia not up to Reunion Parkway. But a pretty good stretch of 104. People couldn't go south or north out of east or west out of Frontier Park. I had a resident send me a video of people lined up on Laredo trying to get out. Stream of cars. And had incorporated emergency vehicles. There's no way they could have gotten through there. Just how people are trying to get up to 96. Do we have any police presence at 96 to direct traffic? Do you know of?
That morning, we did not have police presence at 96. We had police presence at areas within that proximity of that event. But no, we did not have it at directing traffic at that point at 96. You said 96 on Laredo?
Yeah, 96 Laredo. Going,
no,
of
sorry.
course, going southbound. So, and then just to that, I know we're looking at the transportation master plan, but just with the city as a whole, with our police department, do we have, or could you find out if we have any designated map emergency access in each neighborhood? So if one section of where people can get out of neighborhood, there's another way they can get out. Do we have, or could you look into that to see if we have any?
Yes, I think, are you talking about emergency routes for certain events?
Yeah, all the neighborhoods.
I can reach out to our emergency management, MPD and see what those might be.
All right. And if there's anything in, I had brought up, you maybe get a temporary traffic light where they had at Telluride in 96 for a while. And if we could maybe purchase something like that for later on, we have to shut down something for a month or two, if that's feasible.
I think we can definitely take a look at, see what the emergency routes are. When it comes to even temporary traffic signals, we even still have to hit certain criteria, even in those national emergencies. Obviously, there's probably some greater leeway that we have, but I think just broadly speaking, when you think about 96, or you think about Chambers, or you think about 104, that kind of really comes back into that emergency operations plan and thinking about the necessary resources that we would have to deploy. And, a lot of that would have to be on a case by case basis. We do have access to certain resources and equipment to be able to aid us in those, whether it's I understand it's an evacuation route.
Yeah.
For areas so that they're able to be able to just move that part we will come as part of our emergency operations plan, so I can talk with our emergency manager. But generally speaking, when it comes to the revisions of having, travel signals that we can just throw up, we still have to keep it in the back of mind that we are not creating, hopefully that we're not creating a newer liability by doing so. But all of that comes on a case by case basis.
Good. All right, thank you. Any other council members have?
Sure.
Councilmember members?
On Wednesday night, I attended the E3 Adams County CDPHE event that was held at Eagle Point. It was extremely well attended. It was on air quality, and there were air purifiers that were given out. So I think they had a total of 50, and I know they gave out at least 25. we had, 3 people who were working the desk that really wanted to participate in the presentation. And, so I'm hoping that we can get those 3 people who live in Commerce City, the air purifiers that they really would have liked to have been able to get that night, but they were working, so they couldn't participate in the presentation. But air quality is really important to our citizens here. And so anything that we can do to make sure that they have at least good air quality within their own homes would be great. So I hope we can continue the program and offer that same presentation as many times as possible. And then on the next night, there was a senior appreciation dinner, and it was not hosted, but it was hosted by the staff, but the Bison Grill did the dinner. And the people who attended were so appreciative of the fact that they got served instead of having to go through a buffet line, because some of the older folks have a hard time going to a buffet line, bringing their food back to the table. And this made it extra special for them. They just felt like that they were being treated extra special. And I just wanted everybody to know that they all appreciated it so much. And the food was fabulous. Rob just always does such a great job, and the staff members were very accommodating to the attendees, and it was a huge success. The staff who work in that department, you can tell that they love what they're doing, and it was just a great night, and there was just a lot of love in the room. And so I wanted everyone to know how successful that was and how much everyone who attended appreciated it. That's it. Oh, and I did the interviews for the boards and commissions that Saturday. And wow, once again, really great people stepping up to the plate, wanting to be a part of the future of the city.
Yeah, one last thing I forgot. So CCPD attended the Citizens Academy on Wednesday. This time the topic was revolving around crime scene investigators. Huge shout out to those 3 that were there. They kind of went through as far as talked about as far as how they do the process. We actually saw live, not live, but photos of an individual with a self-inflicted gunshot wound and all. It was quite interesting, pretty cool to see that, along with how they process, how they pretty much process a crime scene before the body's taken off. So thank you again to CCPD, the CSI team, pretty neat. I'd love to be one, I'm too damn old. That's all.
Thank you. And I'm going to be sending brief remarks for I-270. DEIS is coming. We're gonna be signing that this week. So if there's any other council members that want to send a remark in about I-270, yeah? What's your thoughts on it, or how do you feel? Because this is gonna, probably a significant corridor construction within Commerce City. That's gonna be a major impact, making improvements and all that, so. Yeah.
It's our last meeting.
Right.
It's the last meeting coming
Yeah, tomorrow's the last meeting over at, for 270. It's gonna be at Eagle Point Rice Center. So, let's see here. So I'll send that over to I'll send it to City Manager Rogers, and then you guys can, if you want to make remarks, you can reply. Yeah. Any others? Okay, that's it. We're adjourned. 7:34, don't tell anybody.